My Little Pony is a franchise that's no stranger to film adaptations. There have been 2 so far, with the 3rd movie coming to Netflix this month. I'm excited as everybody else for G5, given that by the time this video is out, the trailer should already have been dissected by me or any other of the few remaining Brony analysis channels. So to usher in this new era of My Little Pony, I thought it would be an interesting idea to look at both MLP films from generations past, starting with My Little Pony the movie from 1986. So a little background for those who don't know, this movie is obviously based on the My Little Pony toy line. This and a few other movies were part of a push by Hasbro to get their IPs into theaters. The Transformers movie released the same year did okay, but Pony bombed at the box office. The budget was never revealed, but it only made around $5 million, which, for those who don't know, isn't good. Critics at the time really didn't like it either, calling it bland, shallow, cutesy, and full of corporate greed. The last one technically isn't wrong, but it's unfair to judge a movie solely based on that. As much as it is made to, quote, plug a line of fashionable dolls, there is some artistic merit to it. The movie, as its own thing, is really crazy and has a lot of elements that made it a fun watch. So, let's talk about this original My Little Pony movie and just how weird it is. The story takes place a while after the first 2 My Little Pony TV specials. The second one isn't that important, but the first one's ending actually kind of has an effect on the movie's plot, I think. In the '84 special, the ponies and their human friend Megan defeat the evil demon T-Rex by turning his Rainbow of Darkness into the Rainbow of Light. As a result, Ponyland is happy and carefree. But the evil witch, Hydia, who lives in the Volcano of Gloom, isn't too happy about that. Her and her 2 daughters want to make Ponyland great again by turning everything dark, dank, and dreary, like when T-Rex was in power. To do that, they summon the Smooze, which is this big slime creature that uses its pronouns and either destroys or corrupts everything in its path. As a result, the ponies have to go on an adventure to get rid of the Smooze and escape its evil wrath. Along the way, they meet some new faces and get reunited with some old ones, like the Bush Woolies, the Moochick, and the Rainbow of Light, all who appeared previously and who I'll talk about later. From the clips I saw before watching this movie, I thought the Smooze taking over Ponyland happened near the end. It actually happens in the first act, which, it's weird to say, was really refreshing. Having the big scary villain accomplish their evil plan in the third act low point is something that a lot of fantasy movies for young kids do, since I guess they win early on. Like, I knew the ponies were going to go on an adventure to stop the witches, but I didn't know that the Smooze would be in the picture for as long as it is. It's actually a disaster movie, if anything, which again is weird to say. It's like Volcano or Day After Tomorrow, where all the characters get split up from this big catastrophe and go their separate ways, regroup, and have to outrun whatever is destroying their setting. All that's missing is, like, the president who gets warned about the Smooze and ignores it in the first act. The version of this movie I found was super low quality and started to skip once it got to the part where the Smooze gets destroyed. So there are like 7 minutes of these butterfly ponies blowing wind on purple gunk that I missed out on. Speaking of them, the Flutter ponies appear late in the movie and aren't unmemorable. Their being fairy type ponies is something that they'd explore in the 2000s and 2010s with the Breezies, and I really have nothing to say about them here. I just thought I'd mention them because, you know, they're a part of the movie. Sorry to say, but the other ponies are only a bit more interesting than the Flutter ponies. At least they appear throughout the entire movie, but they're not written to be that deep or even distinguishable from each other. Magic Star I remember because she looks like a fruit stripe gum package. Whenever the writers need to explain any magic concept in the movie, like the Smooze, she's there to make sure the audience, the other ponies, aren't lost. They do a lot more telling instead of showing with her. In my opinion, if they were going to have a pony who's wise and knows all about magic, they should have used Wind Whistler, my beloved, who appeared in the TV series. Wind Whistler is in the movie, but doesn't have much to do outside of her typical talking in big words gag. You've also got some others like Shady, who's down on herself and learns to be confident, and Gusty, who's literally Bart Simpson. That's actually Nancy Cartwright doing the voice.
Oh, I knew you shouldn't have come.
Yeah, how much of that sweet pony cash do you think went to the Church of Scientology? Spike the baby dragon is here, mostly as a companion to Baby Lickety Split, who runs away after messing up a dance routine at the festival, doing this big dance move that would show off her incredible skill, but instead trips all the other baby ponies. Lickety-Split always has a habit of being too sure of herself and messing things up. The other ponies downright hate her for this. Like, I don't know how long they practiced that routine, but the way they scold her for it sounds like it's the millionth time she's done this to them.
I'm sorry. Show off, hot dog.
They focus on her in the beginning like she's gonna have a lot more screen time, then they sort of forget about her. That's the thing with protagonists in this movie, they're just underdeveloped. Character arcs like Shady and Lickety-Split just show up in the beginning and get left by the wayside after the Smooze comes around. Also, Shady, Lickety-Split, and Megan's little sister have the same arc, just in slightly different flavors. They all have this need to prove themselves, Shady to herself and Lickety-Split to the other ponies. Molly, like the other two, feels she needs to prove herself, but this time it's to her older brother Danny, who tags along in order to be the second token boy character next to Spike. I guess since they were hoping for a wider audience for this movie, it would help to have 3 audience surrogates instead of 2. What I do find weird is that there's never a scene of them going, wait, the ponies our sister told us about were real? They just accept everything that's going on, like yeah, we gotta go to Ponyland to help stop an evil blob thing that crumbled an entire kingdom of these guys. Oh yeah, these guys, the Grundles. The Grundles, as I said just before, had their kingdom wiped out by the Smooze. Going into this movie, I thought these guys were going to be annoying, but I like them. Every arc in the My Little Pony TV show, they always have to meet some random new creature, and compared to some of those, these guys are real bros. They're certainly better than the Bushwillies who also appear in this movie, and, yeah. Those guys suck. The Grundles have this really comforting presence to them. Their designs are monstrous, but not ugly. They kinda look like Jim Henson puppets. And I'd be damned if I didn't mention it, but yes, Danny DeVito voices the Grundle King. I don't want to dip into 2016 meme territory, so I'm not going to say anything else about it, except that it was noticeable, but didn't take me out. I don't know. Maybe it's because I like to put myself in the perspective of somebody at the time watching this, like, oh, the guy from Romancing the Stone is in this. Alright, let's get into the villains. There's a reason people like to say that this movie is more about Hydia and her 2 daughters, Draggle and Rika, and not about the ponies. To start off, they have this, like, Addams Family way of looking at the world where everything is the opposite. Like, the 2 daughters get punished by having to eat ice cream sundaes instead of, like, boiled bat wings. There's also this big legacy of evil witches that Hydia wants the 2 to live up to. She puts pressure on them to get into trouble. I really like the line, "I taught you to lie, but not to me." Side note, there are other lines like that in the movie that managed to get a legitimate smile out of me, so good job to whoever wrote this if they're still alive. Just how comically over-the-top evil the witches are is really fun. Compared to the previous 2 villains who were played completely straight. T-Rack was a ruthless tyrant for who all we know could have conquered Ponyland for some sort of megalomaniacal or religious purpose. You know, because of the Rainbow of Darkness. Katrina was addicted to potions that brought her to close herself off from the world and enslave an entire race of creatures in an underground factory. These 3 like eating slime and pulling the wings off flies. Draggle and Rika are the best parts of the movie. The dynamic they have as not only the 2 bumbling henchmen, but sisters as well is such a treat to watch. There are stretches of the movie where the 2 just have to go out and get something done for Hydia. These could be an entire movie or cartoon on its own. They play so well off each other. I wouldn't say their personalities are super distinct, but their quirks and visual differences are enough to make them unique. Draggle is taller and relatively soft-spoken. Rika is smaller, louder, and can kinda get it, TBH. Hydia is enjoyable when she's on screen, but at points the way she treats these 2 is genuinely uncomfortable to watch. It gets to the point where she's just abusing her kids and is played for laughs. They can't even call her mom without her going off on them.
Yes, Mama. What did you call me?
I don't know if it even counts as a character, but the Smooze is such a cool concept. It's this eldritch being with a million faces that touches you and makes you grumpy. Yeah, they don't do much with the smoozing aspect of the story, it's just sort of something that happens. When Bart and a few of the Bushwillies get smoozed, they just go along with the others. I think it would have been a little better if characters getting smoozed had bigger consequences, like if it made them immobile or just straight up evil, but on its own, I love the Smooze's design. It ends up being genuinely scary. It's the contrast of this goofy purple googly-eyed thing mowing down entire castles and forests and being implied to kill an entire kingdom of Grundles. The weirdness of its design gives it personality that you don't get with most other all-consuming entity characters, who are usually just made of fog or black goop. This one's purple goop and it has Muppet eyes. It's different. It's such a looming threat too. Like, there are shots where you can see it coming up from over the horizon, you're like, oh no, get out of there!
Quick! Get out! Get out of here!
You feel for the ponies here because at the end of the day, it's not the threat of getting Smooze, it's the threat of drowning in this thing. At least that's what I got out of it. The character designs in this movie are fun as always. Say what you want about G1's writing, but these have a lot of personality. The witches look like Mario characters, and the daughters have this hillbilly thing going on, which is confusing, but very welcome. I mentioned the Smooze already, but the witches also get the spider thing to help them near the end, and it looks okay. I think the one eye was a little too cutesy for it to actually be scary like the Smooze was.
It's the ugliest thing I've ever seen. Reminds me of your friend Lori.
In terms of backgrounds, you're not going to get anything insane, but they do their job at looking pretty when they want to. Mostly fields or caves, but they switch up the geography and wildlife just enough so that it doesn't look like they're running through the same 3 areas all the time. The Flutter Pony homeland and the Witch's Cave are my favorites. They should have changed it up more like this. Flutter Valley is this lush garden full of these little birdhouse things that they live in. The Volcano of Gloom is the perfect setting for our mustache-twirling antagonists, with it being this old cave outfitted with a kitchen, torture chamber, and a bunch of Mario 64 paintings that come to life. In this movie, Dream Castle gets handed over to the Grundles, who are never seen again. In place of that, the ponies live in the incredibly underwhelming Paradise Estate, now available at these fine retailers. It's not an awful design, but compared to the castle, I don't know. It's like if they blew up Castle Grayskull and He-Man and friends had to protect the magical army barracks of Destiny instead. Just a lesser version of what came before. The ponies in the movie don't look the best they've ever been. The first 2 specials trump the rest of G1 and G1.5 for having the best art style. But here, they look fine, more similar to My Little Pony tales than anything. But the character designs in the first 2 specials really complemented the animation. Midnight Castle and Katrina were outsourced to Toei Animation, who for anime fans needs no introduction. Watching those 2, you can tell that this is a Japanese studio working on them. The art style complements the way the characters move, and I'm guessing was more in their territory. The westernized art style that the ponies have in this movie doesn't really work, especially considering that this movie was only animated in 6 weeks, which definitely shows. Girl, Has-Been Hotel took longer to make. The character animation doesn't look awful, just not something that screams theatrical quality. This is perfect for a TV show. In fact, it's better than the TV show from a year later, but it does look sloppy at some points. The best bits of animation come when the witches get their song numbers. The lighting, movement, the characters not looking like garbage. This movie, like the others, was outsourced to Toei, with ACOM helping as well. If you wanted to tell people that this was done by a Japanese studio, you'd have to show them these parts. Evil Like Me has this one part that's really fluid for some reason. For sure the best in the movie. Did they use this for the trailer? Let's look it up. No, they didn't. And not even for the 30th anniversary DVD either, like, oh my gosh. So, let's talk about the music. A good chunk of the songs aren't stuff I'd listen to outside of watching this movie, or editing for the video. That being said, Nothing Can Stop the Smooze is the best thing ever. Another theory, but I like the idea that the Smooze was so scary to kids that the writers had to put a catchy doo-wop song at the part where it destroys everything. The song just starts so randomly, like the scene cuts from the ponies doing something somewhere else, and you just hear boom 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 boom, like one of those Nickelodeon bumpers from the 90s, and you see everything getting smoothed over. Also, was the term smooze that they use in the movie a reference to Ghostbusters?
He slimed me.
That's great!
By the time you're done watching, the song is guaranteed to get stuck in your head, which is something I don't think I can say about the others here. All Do the Dirty Work serves as a better example of Rika and Draggle's chemistry though. The back and forth stuff with them, and trying to trick each other into getting the killer plant is exactly the kind of thing that makes me love them as characters. Although, both of them aren't really singing the best. They're amazing performances, but they're mostly talking the whole time. Same goes for a lot of their other songs, including Evil Like Me and parts of Smooze. But when they do sing, it's not completely hampered by the characters putting on a funny voice. It's still okay. I don't recognize the names Madeline Kahn or Rhea Perlman, but I'm gonna assume that they have some experience with singing or theater or something, cause, you know, this song sounds very Broadway. Our main character Megan gets a song called Always Another Rainbow. This one's not on Smooze level, but still good. I'm guessing that the actress who plays Megan isn't putting on a voice for the role, so she's able to push the notes more than the witches can. Tammy Amerson is her name, and she really went off with this one. I almost got chills. Evil Like Me is an example of how good the lyrics in these songs are, with Hydia getting into all these fun anecdotes about the other witches with some clever rhymes. They're not Friendship is Witchcraft level, but for what this movie is, they're impressive. Lickety Split's 2 songs are eh, I'll Go It Alone is okay, the TV Tropes page mentions how the end is off-key and yep, sure is. I sure do appreciate the shot that they hold on for 10 seconds, where it looks like Lickety Split and Spike are about to eat the camera at the end. Please, we've been good, come on kid. The Wishing Well song I almost forgot about, but it's actually pretty nice. Highlights how samey the songs are though, at least the good guys ones. Having a predictable melody isn't something I think you can complain about, but some of the songs sound like they were written in a day. The original My Little Pony theme gets a reprise here, and it's just a theme with different lyrics. Same as the TV show and Escape from Katrina. The Moo Chick gets a song where he tries to sell the ponies a new house. And they do this Friend Like Me thing where they switch up the background and go to different places. The ponies mention their home being destroyed and this guy breaks out into song. Like she asked you to help them, not to sing a song about life. I actually thought this was going to be one of those meta gags where a character starts singing and the others are like, yeah, we don't have time for that. Which is something they wouldn't do in a kiddie toy commercial movie from 1986. But the way it comes out of nowhere, that's honestly how I was expecting it to go. Even when it starts and during the song, Megan's like, yeah, that's not what we meant. Songs in a musical are supposed to move the story along, and surprisingly, most of the ones in here do a good job at that, aside from All Do the Dirty Work and What Will Wishing Do. This one doesn't move the story along, but it also doesn't halt it. It takes the story and derails it to a completely different direction. It's so odd. At least the locations in this song are nice. Besides that, it's probably the worst. Grundle's Good is elevated on the fact that it's the Grundles singing. That one has some fun rhymes too. Like I mentioned with All Do the Dirty Work, the music overall is pretty good for what this movie is. Nothing outstanding, but none of the songs were grating or awful either. The ones that are good elevate the movie, and the ones that are bad are just okay. So, is the My Little Pony movie secretly a cinematic masterpiece with deep themes hidden below its cute and cuddly exterior? Are the critics at the time nothing but shallow Philistines who refuse to acknowledge the merit of this ahead-of-its-time animated classic? Did it deserve to make back twice its budget and to spawn a 3-film trilogy of theatrical pony adventures instead of becoming a box office bomb? Maybe. It was big enough on home video after all. My Little Pony the movie is a fun story for people who like crazy, weird animated stuff. It's not avant-garde or anything, but it has some elements that people like me can appreciate. The music is good, the witches are a lot of fun, and way more interesting to watch than the ponies. The Smooze, both in concept and execution, is brilliant, and deserves a spot as one of the best villains in the entire franchise, alongside the original T-Rex, G4's Discord, and Teddy from My Little Pony Tales. This was my first time watching the movie, but I want to know if anyone out there watched it when they were a kid. If so, what was that like? I have no idea what a kid's reaction would be to a movie like this, so leave a comment if you want to. And while you're at it, make sure to smash that like button, click on that bell icon so that you don't miss out on any new videos or live streams. Don't forget to follow me on my socials linked in the description for updates and other stuff. And of course, gamers, don't forget to subscribe. Did you know that only sexy people are subscribed to my channel? It's true, look it up. Also, for those of you, and by that I mean literally none of you, who are interested in my Patreon page, it should be up by the end of this month, or later this month, or maybe even the next month, I don't know, I need to figure it all out. But when everything is ready for that, I'll make sure to do an update video or a community post or something so that you know it's real. Thanks for watching. And join me next time when I talk about the 2017 My Little Pony movie, which, believe it or not, isn't a remake of this one. I can't think of a better outro, so until next time, goodbye.